From pay package woes to placement challenges, IIT students are grappling with a tough job market. Now, generally in India, in IITs, the placement process unfolds in three stages. The initial two phases take place in December and February, followed by the final phase in May. But this year, many students have failed to secure placements and they're starting to feel the pressure. At IIT Bombay, for example, 32% of students were not placed last year in 2023. And the number is up to 36% this year. It's the same story across all IIT campuses. These statistics reveal an alarming trend. So what are the implications for students, the workforce, and the broader economy? Also, is this due to the economic slowdown or global meltdown? Are the companies looking for candidates with specialized expertise? Is AI taking over jobs? Joining me to discuss this evening are Professor Anindiya Chatterjee and my colleague Sridharan Ramakrishnan. Greeting, Professor Chatterjee. Welcome to the News 9 Plus show.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Professor Chatterjee, why are IIT students not getting placements? There's major anxiety over across India if your benchmark index of IIT job placements isn't happening. Then what are we talking about the economy firing on all cylinders?
Some of these questions are too big for me to handle. So,
right.
What the economy is doing, there are, you have many experts and they're talking about it, and I would like to leave it at that. However, in terms of jobs, certainly numbers seem to be down. And I would suggest that in the backdrop, there is an important story, which is that in the last year and a bit more, there have been a very large number of layoffs in the tech industry, right, in the software industry. Now, I was talking to a young software engineer and I was telling him, how has it impacted you? From his viewpoint, it was okay, right? But actually, that's a job that a newcomer was not able to take. So in some sense, that number of jobs has disappeared. And in the IIT system, I think that many of the jobs that our students aspire to are tied in some way, directly or indirectly, to the growth and the health and the wealth of the software industry, software services, software related things, work that is done in India, which has a strong tech component, right? So if the number of jobs disappears, there is going to be an effect that is very rapidly felt, and perhaps that is the effect being felt. What the longer term picture is to emerge, right? I mean, there are many predictions. People have different views. I think it is certainly true that AI will be able to do a lot of things. So one of my close friends in the software industry, he's done well, he's an entrepreneur. What he was telling me is that, I'm saying, I'm putting my friend here because I'm a mechanical engineering professor, but he's a software guy, studied computer science, lives in California, he's very wealthy, and, he did well. So what he says is that a very high quality programmer now is sort of supercharged with the AI tools. So they are able to do work, at maybe 4 times the intensity or efficiency that they were able to achieve earlier. Right. And this would mean that many people who are rushing in, who are not at that high level of performance, right? They would have done fine in earlier times. Maybe they will struggle now. The thing that worries me is not that IIT students are not getting placed. You see, in IITs, they are used to getting somewhat higher salaries, right? Yes. I mean, in India, 2% of the population files non-zero salary income, non-income tax return, right? IITians will get placed in the top 10% of that 2%, then they are not even very happy sometimes. They want to be in the top 2% of the top.
Right,
yes?
Right.
That's their aspiration. So if they move down the value chain, they will get placed, right? Yes. But you think of the thousands of colleges which has enrollments in software, where those kids are not going to be able to move to another emergent area. Suppose a lot of mechanical engineering jobs are available, maybe not paying so much. But these people who are now enrolled in computer science in second year, they are committed. They are going to, in 2 more years or 2.5 more years, they are going to graduate. And so if the market keeps going down in the tech industry,
Yes.
then it may not be such a nice time for them.
Absolutely. Sri, this, where they say you can tell when a tsunami is approaching, when the tide starts, receding very quickly. Is that what's happening now? Are the IITs actually the canaries in the, in the coal shaft, where they're at the, forefront of the tech industry, which is actually hiring fewer jobs because of AI?
So what's, to my mind, is really happening, Sandy, is that AI is now being seen as a big, bad, grizzly bear,
Right.
which is freezing companies into like fear.
Yes.
So what companies are doing at this point, I think, is this.
Right.
They're hitting the pause button on fresh hiring.
Right.
What they're telling themselves is, let's look at how can we use the AI, generative AI technology
Yes.
to optimal, purposes and effect.
Right.
And then assess what is the real need, what kind of skills do we need, and how many of those people do we really need.
Yes.
So I think this is an assessment phase,
Right.
which is going on, because don't forget, AI is literally only 2 years old.
Yes, absolutely.
It reached a critical tipping point only 2 years ago.
Right.
So I think maybe another 1.5 years,
Yes.
we'll have clarity in terms of what AI is going to do and not going to do. So I
Right.
think till then, there is going to be some sort of a paralysis when it comes to recruitment.
Yes.
But I don't think our kids, especially the kids from IITs, need to really worry, because
Right.
what I would urge them
Yes.
is not to think of employment, but think of how can you become employment creators.
Employment
Because if you have the
creators.
IIT badge,
Right.
if you can form a team, I
Yes.
mean, there are plenty of investors, plenty of VCs
Yes.
who are willing to put money behind you if you have a
Right.
good idea.
Yes.
So I would urge these students not to get disheartened,
Right.
rather think, how do I become from a job seeker to
Yes.
a job giver
Right.
as an entrepreneur?
Of course.
Because
And-
that's exactly what our Prime Minister has also been saying.
Yes.
That we need more entrepreneurs. And there are many startups which are flourishing all across smaller tier cities.
Yes.
So I think this might actually be seen as an opportunity for our best minds in engineering.
That's
to
right.
actually get onto the innovation bandwagon and stop seeking jobs and like becoming coders for companies, but become creators of new
become
wealth
job
for the
creators.
economy.
Absolutely, and given the fact that we are the third largest number of startups in the world.
Absolutely.
But Sri, there's also this thing of the IITs being, a tool of social mobility and economic mobility, where you get into an IIT and you're assured of like a 1 crore job, starting pay package. I think a lot of attention, newspaper headlines, us included, have highlighted this fact that this so-and-so student got placed at 1 crore or 2 crores.
So Sandy, as an
Kaun
editor of
banega
a previous
crorepati?
organization,
Yeah.
I ran these salaries surveys for like many years.
Yes.
And the optics are very different from the
Right.
reality. So the headline grabbing 1 crore packages is just like, for maybe one person.
Yes.
And even if you were to drill down into the detail of that package,
Right.
you will see that it's actually not 1 crore. There are many things that get added to inflate
Yes.
that figure.
Right.
I think the average salary which an IITian would make on graduating would probably about 20 to 25 lakhs from a good IIT.
Right.
So this 1 crore is not a very big number.
Right.
So I don't really want to hold that up as what every IITian should make.
Right.
So I think they need to get real and look at the real numbers that come from placements.
Right. The real numbers that come from placements, and the numbers don't seem to be very encouraging as of this year and indeed the last year. But Professor Chatterjee, you think there's a need to reassess the IITians themselves? They need to relook the way they are, looking at their careers. Maybe, as Sri mentioned, become job creators, get into startups rather than seek jobs themselves for foreign companies, for instance.
Anyone who creates jobs is welcome, is a
Yes.
gift to the country, helps people and so on, right? But as you are aware, there is a huge competition to get into IITs, to
Yes.
IAS, to post office, bank jobs,
Right.
police, army, railways. Yes, I mean, 1 crore people apply, right,
Right.
for railway jobs, right? All of these jobs, every single one of them, they will have non-zero salary income deducted at source.
Right.
That means all of these people are competing to be in that 2%.
Right.
IITs have 10,000 students. Let there be 500 successful entrepreneurs every year. You still need 9,500 jobs.
Yes.
Yes. So looking for employment is going to be the dominant career story.
Right. Right.
And the 1 crore package is a deep disservice
Yes.
that is somehow done to the parents of the students who sort of have these dreams.
Right.
And it, in some way, it feeds into the pocketbooks of coaching companies, because
Yes.
parents then send their children for coaching, even children whose chances
Right.
rationally assessed are not very high, right? I
Right.
mean, so in some sense, coaching classes give mobility. One village boy told me, and sort of he shut me up, because I was saying,
Right.
oh, coaching classes are not good. And he shut me up. He said, sir, from my village, there is only one road that goes out, and
Right.
that is JE coaching. And then I had nothing to tell him. So it's true, but think of the national cost. I mean, see, if the success rate is 1% and everyone
Yes.
is studying 10 hours, you come in and everyone studies 14 hours, the
Right.
success rate will be still 1%.
Right.
Everyone studies 20 hours, it will still be 1%.
Yes.
Everyone lifts weights, it will still be 1%, right? So, in some sense, the coaching class can't change the numbers. And most of these kids will be looking for jobs.
Right.
And because of the prior hype, they expect jobs that are, very high paying.
Yes.
Just to give you 20 lakhs, if I may, can I take just another half a minute
Yes,
on
absolutely.
this
Please,
question?
please go ahead, Professor Chatterjee.
So let me give you some context. 2 years ago, out of interest, I looked at Government of India income tax data, right?
Right.
So that is where, so that data was then 2 years old because it's the assessment year. Now, in that data, 3 crore people filed non-zero income tax and non-zero income, in their income tax returns, and a salary of 20 lakhs was in the 97th percentile.
Right.
So if the stated figure of 20 lakhs is correct, that
Yes.
means the typical IIT student is already getting in the top 3% of the top 2%.
Right.
And if they are then disappointed because they did not get 1 crore, this disappointment is in their head. It is not rational.
Right. But see, what's the long-term point of
Can
this?
I just
Yes,
make
yes,
an
of course.
interesting
Yes.
observation to our viewers also, because as you know that our MD and CEO, Mr. Barun Das, is an
Yes.
IITian himself.
Yes,
And
yes.
one of the things he keeps telling youngsters is to manage the expectation.
Yes.
Because if there's a big gap between what you expect and what you end up with,
Right, right.
then you're going to be unhappy. So I think, to Professor's point, I think it's very important for children in IIT to calibrate their expectation and not go by that 1 crore, because that's just an optic.
Yes.
It's not the real story.
Right, it's not the real story, and indeed, given the challenges that we have in the job market these days, Sri, as you mentioned, it's they're frozen, because of the incoming tsunami of AI, and they're recalibrating their strategies. Do you see the need for some kind of reassessment of the kind of skill sets that we are looking at in IITs, particularly, given the need to retrain our workforce, maybe?
So the honest answer right now is that no one knows.
Right.
Because even the best of companies are still trying to figure out. They know
Yes.
that certain low-end skills can be easily eliminated. It
Right.
can all be automated. You can have AI agents and tools which can do the job for you.
Yes.
Professor mentioned about low-end coding. That's already gone to my
Right,
mind.
right.
So you will need people with really high skills. But
Yes.
like I said, companies are still trying to figure this out. And that's why this pause, to my mind, is
Right.
happening. And it's not just here in India, Sandy.
Yes.
If I look at, I've been speaking to people in the US. I have, kids who are studying in the US, and they tell me that even in the best of universities, for
Yes.
example, Cornell, there are
Right.
certain programs where kids are not getting placed at all.
Right.
Entire class graduates and they are jobless.
Right, absolutely.
So why is it? Because kids aren't dumb.
Right.
Right? I mean, you went to Cornell, you made it to Cornell, so obviously
Yes.
you're not dumb, just like, the kids with IIT in Delhi.
Right.
So, or IIT system. So what's really happening is that the employers have hit a pause,
Right.
in some sense. They're saying, okay, let's figure this out. How is this AI thing going to really impact us?
Yes.
Because US in particular, we are getting record, numbers in terms of employment growth.
Right.
So it's only that high-end skill, which is that's under effect right now.
High-end skills under effect right
Yeah,
now
because of AI.
In the US, because of AI, and similar thing seems to be happening in India
Yes.
with the IITs. Professor Chatterjee, thanks for joining us this evening. My colleague Sri, talking about the strange phenomenon of jobless IITians. Is it because of the incoming artificial intelligence wave, or is it because companies are reassessing their employers, the kind of employees that they need to cope up with this new invasion of the machines, if you can put it that way? Only time will tell. But thanks very much for joining me this evening, gentlemen, on this aspect of the jobless IITians, the new phenomenon That's the fear that's enveloped our IITs, our very premier educational institutions in India. Thanks for watching.
Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.